Alright, this week we're back on the Courier. Got the engine mounts mostly done. So what we're going to be doing is getting started on the transmission. We're going to have to make a custom cross member and then work on a transmission mount as well. So might as well just get started and see how it goes. So it's a little bit cramped down here and hard to tell what's going on, but that stud right there is one of the original mounts for the transmission cross member, and then there's a stud sticking out right over there, and they're pretty much going right across in between those two studs on the actual transmission. If not, they're just a little bit ahead of it, like right up here. So I think what I'm going to start with is just getting a solid bar going across, and then see what it's going to take to get those mounted to it. And I want to use some rubber, kind of like I'm doing up front. I ordered the same rubber pucks, but they're not here yet. So I'm just going to use the ones from the engine mount and try and see if I can get those in there to keep the engine vibration down to a minimum inside the truck, because it's not a big truck, and taking all the balance shafts and everything out of here, so the engine's going to vibrate a little bit more than it did in the Ford Fusion I pulled it out of, and I don't want it to rattle my teeth out. I want to be able to drive it 1,000 miles and still be comfortable. So we'll see. Probably going to start by holding up the factory transmission cross member and seeing if we need to modify that or just start from scratch. Okay, so it's kind of hard to see, but I have a rough plan to have one motor mount or transmission mount kind of spaced here, and then another one right next to it right here, and then I'll have a plate that kind of comes down and then connects with these two studs, and then two up here also kind of go up, so that way I'm nice and secure, have 4 mounting points. And then I'm going to take some of this square tubing and line it up basically from here, and then put like a somewhere in the neighborhood of like 30 to 45 degree notch in there, so that way it kind of comes around at an angle and meets up with the other side, and that's what they'll rest on. And I'll have a little plate right at the V to give like a nice flat mounting point. So probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense now, but as it comes together it should become more obvious because you'll be able to see it. Okay, so this is the initial portion of the transmission bracket. It's going to sit in the truck like that, and then I'm going to make a tab that kind of goes from here, and it's going to kind of go up and over here to the 2 bolts on the bottom, And then on this side here, you're going to have one that kind of goes like up and forwards to the two studs on the side of the transmission. So just got to get those two little legs made, and then this should get bolted up onto the transmission side. And then I got to wait for my other set of these, because I robbed these from the motor mounts I just finished making. So that way I'm actually just going to use these washers, and I'm going to weld them to a plate like this, kind of like I did here with the big one for the top. And that's what's going to actually support it from the bottom to that cross member going across the truck. So that's where we're at, and just going to get, like I said, get those two legs made, and that'll be the transmission side of the transmission bracket. Okay, so sorry it's kind of cramped under here, hard to see, but you know, got the engine up there with the two tires, original cross member, transmission. Got one of the legs I was talking about done here, so you can see it goes up to those two studs there. Well, yeah, it kind of comes down to a 90 up here, and I had to shave it obviously for transmission tunnel clearance, and then grab my transmission bushings, and I pulled one of them out, and it was the wrong one because I was trying to get some clearance, because I'm about to grab the welder and just tack that in place there, kind of in that height. I'll be more precise when I actually do it. And then after I get that tacked on, I'm going to cut off the excess here so it's not in the way anymore. And before I fully weld it up there, I'm going to go ahead and get this leg made. I've already got a piece of metal that's a little bit too long, but I got my holes drilled in it that go like there. They fit. I'm one-handed. Yeah, see, look there. And then I'm probably also gonna triangulate it so I have a leg kind of shooting off that way, just for fun. So we'll get this done and then come back and show you kind of where we're at. Okay, so we got it tacked together, and then I went ahead and trimmed down that all the extra from here and from the bottom. So I actually got it pretty good. We're gonna go ahead and just weld this all the way in, and then to bend this I actually made a little slice in there and then heated it up and used pliers so you can kind of see. So we're going to weld that and reinforce it on this side, and then that way I can bolt this into the truck, have it stay there while I work on the rest of the transmission mount, because the rest of it I think is going to be a little bit harder to do with this floating, because I'm just like having to hold it. So this is the easiest way to get something secured to the truck so I can just build off of that. Okay, so we got the bottom plate attached here. You can see I just have it's a piece of angle iron that I cut. So first thing I did was take a piece like that, and I just kind of held it up to the side and then used tape to make a mark like that and like that. And you can kind of see how that worked out. So that got it to fit there nicely. And then once I had it there, once I had the short piece, I held it up to the side, and then I just took a scribe and ran it on this plate to make a line on the angle iron, so that way I knew where to make this cut with that's covered up by that really ugly weld. And then again, just use some tape to transfer it to the other side to make a match. And then while it was in the truck, I just kind of like held it up there and tacked it here and then on the top, and then I removed the whole thing and finished welding it in. So so here is alright, so now all I need is a third leg to go from here to here. It doesn't need to be as beefy as these. This is probably already overbuilt. I just, peace of mind and some extra stability, have it supported on both sides of both mounts, because you know I'm going to have the rubber puck here and a rubber puck here. So just get the last piece here, which I already have. It started out flat, and then I just kind of made it fit like so. And then they weren't really lined, this edge and this edge weren't really lining up flat with the metal like I needed it to. So I just got another big pair of ice grips, one there, and this one was further out on the edge. I just heated it and then twisted it until it was the shape that I needed. So, may not have a whole lot of tools here in the garage, but we're getting it done. Okay, you can see here how I did it. Just used vice grips, hold it in place, put a tack there, I can remove the grip and finish burning it in on both sides here and there. So, installed the rubber mount to make sure I had enough clearance, which it's tight, but it's close enough, or it's good enough. So, once I'm done, I'll probably go and trim this back a little bit, just because there's some excess metal here that's unnecessary. It may get in the way later of servicing these. And yeah, that should be the top half of the transmission mount done. Then I just got to make a cross member for the bottom half, and she'll be bolted in place. Okay, so got the transmission side of the mount in, got some makeshift bolts for now. I'll get all hardware that matches later. It's one of the finishing steps. You can see I cut some material off of here, which already made installing the mounts a lot easier. So, as you can see, I put some yellow paint on the bottom of the stud there where the factory transmission crossmember went, and I'm planning on taking a plate like so. You can see the dot the paint left when I... So, this is D for driver's side, so I'm just going to get a hole drilled there and then get the plate bolted here, and then I'll start building off of that. And I have a matching one on the passenger side. You see more paint, it's marked, but I don't know what I did with the sheet, so gonna get that done. So the plan is to have one kind of come back, and then I'm not going to tie it into this one, but it's going to get kind of close, and then have it obviously match on the way up here, and then I'm going to have another one that goes all the way across just to kind of triangulate it. Though I might have to dip it a little bit below the transmission, but we will cross that bridge when we get there. As you can see, I got the cross member in at the start of it. Just a single bar. That's it for now. I got my plates up here. This one I had to shorten it a little bit, and then you can see for the parking brake cable, I just cut a little relief so it would clear. And then over here, I just had to cut a little relief in the corner so it would fit around that bend and what I believe is a fuel line. And then there's actually a nice little channel in the transmission right here that made almost, let me see if I can get a good shot. Almost gave me a perfect spot to run the crossmember through. I know it's a little far back, but I didn't want to make this the distance from that bolt to here too long, because then you got to worry about the metal bending. That's just kind of where we ended up. It's still pretty solid. And so next step is just taking a piece from here out to the bottom of here. But I'm still waiting on these rubber pucks. I forgot to put the order through, so they will be here either later today or tomorrow. And then I'll be able to, because the washers that this one here has, I want to be able to weld onto that. Yeah, next step, we'll get it done. Okay, so I've got my transmission bracket out of the truck. What I want to do is make a plate to support the bottom of these, and then off that plate I can build off to the studs for where the crossmember is going to meet the frame, and then that should be it for the transmission bracket. So just need to get started. Okay, so what I need to do is make a relief for where the yellow is here on this piece of metal, and I marked poorly where the center of that needs to be, right there. So I took my paint marker and just loaded it up with paint. I'm just going to take it and just carefully set it down, and it should transfer the mark onto here. So you can see it's not perfect, and it mixed with some of the black that was already on there, but it'll definitely get the job done for me. So just, you know, got to make it a little bit extra room from there because I need clearance, and should get it done. Worked out pretty well. Okay, we're back under the truck, and you can see here I got my plate, got the washers welded on, got a little bit of a reinforcement, have a nice amount of clearance. So went ahead and just got some tubing to match up with my plates I got back here, and clamped it all together to hold it there. Over here I had to make a little bit of a spacer, which I'm gonna go ahead and cut it here and shorten it as much as I can, so help with room for exhaust, because it's coming down from back there and straight through this area. I don't have any small C clamps, so these are way too big, but they're working pretty well. I'm just gonna go ahead and tack it in place down here, and then remove it from the truck and burn it all together up on the toolbox there. So almost done with the cross member on the final stretch. Okay, here we are under the truck again, and the transmission is being held in completely by itself. My block of support wood's gone. You can see got the cross member in. Had to make one last relief cut there after getting everything welded in. Cut off the extra metal here that's sticking off the back of the plate because it wasn't doing anything at all. Reinforce this back with the little piece that I cut off, which in hindsight, I should have just cut a slit down there and then slid it over, and that would have been a lot cleaner looking, but it's in. So got the transmission side of the bracket in there with rubber, actually motor mounts, but they're tightened in there and they squished down a little bit, but not too much. And the transmission's got you can't see it. It's got a very small amount of movement, but it's not a lot. So that was the exact goal. So I will pull this out and paint it later. I am done for the day, and I don't know what we'll be doing next time, but won't be focusing on mounting anything, or well, the engine or the transmission. We'll probably end up, I don't know, I kind of want to start mounting the radiator or dealing with that, or we already have everything we need to start doing the exhaust, so I might just end up doing that instead. So we'll see.